Welcome to the Ask the Estate Agent podcast, here to give you the knowledge and inspiration to take the next steps in a world of property. Your weekly dose of property market updates, top tips on buying, selling, renting and investing in property. From your expert estate agents and through interviews with industry specialists. We're here to answer your questions. So here's your host, serial entrepreneur and estate agent David Thomas.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 2 of Ask the Estate Agent podcast, and I'm your host David Thomas. Today we're going to be touching on a subject that is one of the biggest topics really and involves everybody when they're negotiating the property market, and it's all about viewings. So we often get asked lots of questions about the things that we should be looking for and the questions we should ask when we're viewing a property, and this can be both if you're viewing to buy or whether you're viewing to rent. So what we're going to do in this episode is give you 9 top tips to help you when you're viewing a property. So number 1, let's go straight in there. Number 1 is a pretty obvious one, but one that people don't often get right, is know what you want before you view. Obviously, there's so much variety in property that if you don't know what you want, you're going to be shown lots of things that are probably not going to be anywhere near what you're actually after. So if you know what you want before you view and you've set your budget, that's one of the most important things. Set your budget and be quite rigid with it. Be clear on your requirements for the property. What space do you need? What type of property are you looking for? Is it a semi-detached? Has it got to be a detached property? Do you need a garage, garden, and location? You know, if you're quite specific that you need to be in a certain location, whether it's for a school, things like that all impact it. Have that criteria with you and make sure that that's conveyed to any agents that are showing you around. And you can also use this criteria when you're actually searching for your properties online as well. So whether it's on an agent's website or Rightmove or Zoopla, you can put a lot of these requirements in to really specify that you're going to go and look at the right kind of properties from the start. This way you just don't waste your time being shown properties that just don't meet your requirements. So number 1, know what you're going to view before you go and book them. Number 2, have an open mind. Be prepared to look past how the property is currently presented, how the current owners live, what the furnishings are like, what the wall colours are like, what the carpets are like. Look at it as against those requirements that you set. So does the space work? Are the rooms big enough? Does it have the right feel? Has it got the right aspect and lighting? Is the garden big enough? Have you got all those things that you were looking for or near as much as you can? So go in there with an open mind. Don't get put off by things that are cosmetic, that aren't going to be there when you finally move in if you did buy it, because you could end up missing out on the perfect property because you get blinded by these things. So go in there with an open mind is number 2. Number 3, quite often helps with number 2, is having a second pair of eyes. So either take a family member, a friend, somebody that can just give a second opinion in an impartial way. So remember, they may not fully understand your requirements as well or your vision. So don't be afraid to disagree with them and question the comments and the views that they might have. But what you might find with this is that they'll come up with something that you might have missed, and they'll be looking at it from a slightly different angle. So it's a brilliant tip to just take somebody along who is not involved in it and can look at it from an impartial view as a second pair of eyes. So that's number 3. Number 4, give yourself plenty of time to take everything in. Don't go and book yourself in for 10 minutes to look around a property that you're potentially going to buy, because it's just simply not enough time to take it all in, to appreciate everything in the space and have a good look at all the detail. So as a guide, you'd expect about 30 minutes minimum really to take in the inside of a property. And again, if you've got outside areas, gardens, front and back and garage and things like that, up to 30 minutes to get a feel for that. And you want to give yourself as much time, because if you can look around the area as well and you can sort of take your time walking around, asking lots of questions, the longer the better really for yourself. Just make sure you do book that time in with the agent, because they might be restricted on how much they can give you if they're not aware of it at the beginning. So when you do book the viewing, just say to them, look, I'd like 40 minutes or even up to an hour at the property. Is that okay? And then they can just book that time in. So number 4, then give yourself plenty of time to take everything in. Number 5, ask plenty of questions about the property. Ask plenty of questions about the local area. Even why is the vendor selling? You want to know everything that you possibly can about the area, about the property, about the circumstances. All these things help you in making a decision and ultimately negotiating the price as well if it comes down to that. So ask plenty of questions. Don't be afraid to do that. If you obviously get the opportunity while you're there with the agent at the property anyway, but even if you don't, then you think about something, contact the agent and ask those questions to get the information. So number 5, ask plenty of questions. Number 6, look for telltale signs of issues. Now, most of the time you'll get a survey anyway if you're buying. Obviously, if you're renting, you won't be. So this is even more applicable if you're going to rent a property. When you're buying, you might get a survey done later down the line, but it's always good anyway to look for any telltale signs of issues. And this can be such as damp, cracking, stains on ceilings or walls that might show up a leak. These will all help determine what kind of survey you might instruct, but it'll also highlight any issues that you might want to ask questions about, or could be an ongoing thing that you should be made aware of. So, keep your eyes open, look for those telltale signs, then ask the questions as well. And it will help you to determine which survey you go for, particularly if you're buying. Number 7 then, explore the neighbourhood. So you might be moving there because you like the area, or you might even know it in much detail. But if you don't, and you're moving because maybe it's a new job that you're moving to, or you're going specifically for a school catchment area, explore the neighbourhood as much as possible. Walk the local area, go round, spend as much time as you can. How far away is the nearest shop? How far away is the nearest pub? All these kind of things that, you might not necessarily think about straight away. And then you could end up moving there and thinking, I've actually got to get in the car to go and get a loaf of bread or some milk. Those essentials, how close are they to you? The things that really matter to you, things that might impact your lifestyle, make sure they're all nearby. So think about that. Think about the neighbourhood. Think about taking a walk around. Get a feel for what the neighbourhood's like. Is it noisy? Is it quiet? Are you close to a pub? Are you close to a nightclub? Things like that. All these things can have an impact, and you won't necessarily know it or see it or even be told it unless you sort of take that walk around and get all that information. So number 7, explore the neighbourhood. Number 8, one that people don't often mention, but be polite and courteous, because remember, you're in somebody else's home when you're viewing. So this goes for renting or buying. You can either, the tenant could still be living there, or particularly if you're buying, the vendor could still be living there. And so be polite and courteous, because you're in somebody's home, and a good impression can be formed then. This may lead to more information being provided as conversation flows more easily, and may also benefit you should it come down to multiple offer situations that, if you've been really polite and courteous and the vendor was there and, you were able to make a bit of chat with them and ask them a few questions, it all helps to build relationships and sort of build that initial bond. So be polite and courteous and take into account that you're in somebody's home and sort of be respectful with that. So that's number 8. Number 9 then, the final tip for viewing property is be realistic. It's unlikely you'll find a property that 100% matches your exact requirements, and that is 100% in the condition you would like. So know the elements that are a must-have of your list, but also be realistic that it's very, very slim chance that you'll find something that meets everything. You could look at a new build property in which you might have a bit of scope to sort of ask them for all the nice things that you want on the list. But when you're going out to the open market and you're looking at second-hand properties, to get something that matches everything, is a tall order. So be realistic, be prepared to drop a few things off, or not get everything that you want, but know the elements that you must have, and then you can really focus on those. Okay, so those are 9 tips that hopefully will help you when you're viewing property to get all the information you need to make the informed decision and to really compare property against property as well. So just to recap, number 1, know what you want before you go and view. Number 2, have an open mind. Number 3, have a second pair of eyes. Number 4, give yourself plenty of time to take everything in on a viewing. Number 5, ask plenty of questions about the property. That's both there and after. Number 6, look for telltale signs of any issues. This will help with which survey. Number 7, explore the neighbourhood. Number 8, be polite and courteous and respectful on the viewings, especially if the vendor is at the property. And finally, number 9, be realistic about your requirements. So hopefully, if you implement all these 9, remind yourself of these, enjoy the viewings, go out there and see as much as you can, and speak to as many people as you can as well to get all that information that you need. And hopefully by doing that, you'll find that dream property. So thank you for listening to this episode of Ask the Estate Agent podcast. Don't forget to contact us with your questions that you want answering in future episodes. You can do this through social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Just search Ask the Estate Agent and you'll find us. Or you can contact us through our website, asktheestateagent.co.uk. So join us next time. And if you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to subscribe and to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you're listening. And until next time on Ask the Estate Agent, it's goodbye for now.
We look forward to answering your property questions and helping you with your next move. Thank you for listening to the Ask the Estate Agent podcast.